Exodus is a captivating and profound book that delves into the journey of the Israelites, their liberation from slavery in Egypt, and the formation of their identity as a nation. Through a series of miraculous events, charismatic leaders, and divine interventions, the book explores themes of faith, perseverance, and the power of a united community. With vivid storytelling and thought-provoking narratives, Exodus offers a timeless message of hope, freedom, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. From the opening chapters of Exodus, we are transported back in time to an era of oppression, where the Israelites endured the harsh realities of slavery in Egypt. Through vivid descriptions and powerful storytelling, the book paints a vivid picture of their suffering, their cries for liberation, and the divine intervention that ultimately sets them free. As we journey through the 10 plagues that befall Egypt, we witness the clash between Pharaoh's stubbornness and the unwavering determination of Moses and Aaron. This epic struggle between good and evil resonates deeply with our lives today, reminding us of the importance of standing up against injustice and fighting for freedom. Moreover, Exodus teaches us valuable lessons about the power of faith, the strength of community, and the transformative nature of perseverance. As we reflect on the timeless messages of this ancient text, we are inspired to confront our own personal struggles, overcome adversity, and strive for a better future, both for ourselves and for the world around us. Let's start exploring from chapter 1 and learn how the Israelites in slavery took place in this chapter. We are introduced to the Israelites, who have become slaves in Egypt. Despite their suffering, their population continues to grow, causing fear and oppression among the Egyptians. Chapter 2 describes the birth and early life of Moses. We learn about the birth of Moses, who is destined to play a crucial role in the liberation of the Israelites. Moses is raised in the palace of Pharaoh, but eventually flees after killing an Egyptian who was mistreating an Israelite. Chapter 3 provides us the first interaction of Moses to I am in the burning bush. Moses encounters a burning bush that miraculously does not burn up. From the bush, God speaks to Moses, revealing his plan to send him back to Egypt to lead the Israelites out of slavery. Chapter 4 provides us insight of Moses being reluctant and how God has given him signs to encourage him to continue the task. Moses expresses his doubts and insecurities about his ability to lead, but God reassures him by performing various signs and miracles, such as turning Moses' staff into a snake and making his hand leprous. Chapter 5 shows how Moses confronts Pharaoh. Moses and his brother Aaron approach Pharaoh, demanding the release of the Israelites. However, Pharaoh responds with harsher treatment, increasing the workload of the Israelite slaves. Chapter 6 provides us some insight of God's promises, and Moses doubts God reassures Moses of his faithfulness and promises to deliver the Israelites from slavery. Moses, however, doubts his ability to convince the Israelites and Pharaoh to listen to him. Chapter 7 provides the well-known plagues starting from the plague of blood. Moses and Aaron confront Pharaoh again, and with God's power, Aaron turns the Nile River into blood. Despite witnessing this miracle, Pharaoh remains stubborn and refuses to let the Israelites go. Chapter 8 continues the plagues of frogs, gnats, and flies. God sends a series of plagues upon Egypt, including an infestation of frogs, gnats, and flies. These plagues cause great discomfort and distress, yet Pharaoh still refuses to release the Israelites. Chapter 9 continues with the plagues of livestock disease, boils, and hail. Egypt continues to suffer from plagues, with livestock falling ill, boils afflicting people, and hail destroying crops. Pharaoh's heart remains hardened, and he refuses to let the Israelites go. Chapter 10 continues with the plagues of locusts, darkness, and the warning of the final plague. Locusts swarm the land, followed by a thick darkness that covers Egypt. Moses warns Pharaoh of the impending 10th plague, the death of the firstborn, if he continues to resist God's command to free the Israelites. Chapter 11 continues with the final plague announced. God instructs Moses to inform the Israelites and Pharaoh about the impending final plague, the death of the firstborn. Moses warns Pharaoh once again, but Pharaoh remains stubborn. Chapter 12 continues the final plague, the most important plague and sign of Passover that sets the path of major exodus of human history. God provides instructions for the Israelites to observe the Passover, which involves sacrificing a lamb and marking their doorposts with its blood. The Israelites follow these instructions, and the angel of death passes over their homes, sparing their firstborn. Pharaoh finally relents and allows the Israelites to leave Egypt. Chapter 13, talk about the consecration of the firstborn and the pillars of cloud and fire. God commands the Israelites to consecrate their firstborn sons and to remember the exodus from Egypt. He leads them with a pillar of cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. Chapter 14 provides the insight of the crossing of the Red Sea. As the Israelites leave Egypt, Pharaoh changes his mind and pursues them with his army. God miraculously parts the Red Sea, allowing the Israelites to cross on dry land. The pursuing Egyptians are drowned when the sea closes back up. Chapter 15 is the celebration with the Song of Moses. Moses and the Israelites sing a song of praise and victory to God for their deliverance from Egypt. They celebrate his power and faithfulness. Chapter 16 provide the insight of how God provisioned with manna and quail in the wilderness. The Israelites complain about the lack of food in the wilderness, and God provides them with manna, a miraculous bread-like substance. He also sends quail for them to eat. Chapter 17 talk about water from the rock and the battle with the Amalekites. The Israelites grumble about the lack of water, and God instructs Moses to strike a rock, from which water flows. The Israelites also engage in battle with the Amalekites, and with God's help, they emerge victorious. Chapter 18 gives us the insight how to delegate the responsibility as Jethro's advice to Moses. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, visits the Israelites and advises Moses to delegate his responsibilities by appointing capable leaders to assist him in judging the people. Chapter 19, where the Israelites at Mount Sinai. The Israelites arrive at Mount Sinai, and God reveals himself to Moses. He establishes a covenant with the Israelites, promising to make them his treasured possession if they obey his commandments. Chapter 20 is the receiving of 10 commandments. God gives Moses the 10 commandments, which serve as the foundation of the Israelites' moral and ethical code. These commandments include instructions to worship God alone, honor one's parents, and refrain from stealing, lying, and coveting. Chapter 21 describes the laws about slavery, personal injury, and property. God provides laws concerning slavery, personal injury, and property. These laws address issues such as the treatment of slaves, compensation for injuries, and restitution for stolen or damaged property. Chapter 22 provides insight about laws of theft, borrowing, and social responsibility. God gives laws regarding theft, borrowing, and social responsibility. These laws cover topics such as restitution for stolen property, the responsibilities of borrowers, and the treatment of the vulnerable in society. Chapter 23 talks about the laws of justice, Sabbath, and festivals. God provides laws about justice, the observance of the Sabbath, and the celebration of festivals. These laws emphasize fair judgment, the importance of rest on the Sabbath, and the annual festivals that the Israelites are to observe. Chapter 24 is where the covenant confirmed. Moses, Aaron, and 70 elders of Israel ascend Mount Sinai, where they witness a vision of God. They eat a covenant meal in his presence, confirming their commitment to the covenant and receiving further instructions from God. Chapter 25 provides detailed instructions for the tabernacle. God instructs Moses on the construction of the tabernacle, a portable sanctuary where God's presence will dwell among the Israelites. Detailed instructions are given for the construction of the Ark of the Covenant, the tabernacle structure, and the various furnishings. Chapter 26 touches more details of the tabernacle's structure and curtains. God provides instructions for the construction of the tabernacle's structure, including the framework and the curtains that will enclose it. These instructions ensure the tabernacle's portability and functionality. Chapter 27 talk about the altar, courtyard, and oil. God instructs the Israelites on the construction of the bronze altar for sacrifices, the courtyard surrounding the tabernacle, and the preparation of the sacred oil for anointing the priests and the tabernacle. Chapter 28 talks about the garments for the priests. God gives detailed instructions for the design and construction of the priestly garments, including the ephod, breastpiece, and turban. These garments are to be worn by Aaron and his sons as they serve in the tabernacle. Chapter 29 talks about the consecration of the priests. God outlines the process of consecrating the priests, including their purification, anointing, and offering of sacrifices. This chapter describes the rituals that Aaron and his sons must undergo to be set apart for their priestly duties. Chapter 30 provides some insight about the altar of incense and the census tax. God instructs the Israelites on the construction of the golden altar of incense, which is to be placed in the tabernacle. Additionally, God commands a census tax to be collected from each Israelite as a means of supporting the tabernacle and its services. Chapter 31 tells people that who will be the craftsmen for the tabernacle, and sets roles and responsibilities. God appoints Bezalel and Oholiab as skilled craftsmen to oversee the construction of the tabernacle and its furnishings. They are filled with the Spirit of God and given wisdom, understanding, and skill to carry out their tasks. Chapter 32 show the nature of human and why they made the golden calf. While Moses is on Mount Sinai receiving the commandments from God, the Israelites grow impatient and ask Aaron to make them a god to worship. Aaron molds a golden calf, and the people worship it, breaking their covenant with God. Chapter 33 talks about Moses' intercession and God's presence. Moses intercedes on behalf of the Israelites, pleading with God not to abandon them. God assures Moses of his presence and agrees to continue leading the Israelites to the promised land. Chapter 34, where God provided the new tablets and God's covenant are renewed. God commands Moses to chisel 2 new tablets, and he renews the covenant with the Israelites. Moses receives the 10 Commandments again, and God reveals his character of compassion, grace, and justice. Chapter 35 talks about Sabbath regulations and materials for the tabernacle. Moses reminds the Israelites of the importance of observing the Sabbath and calls for contributions of materials and skills for the construction of the tabernacle. The people willingly bring their offerings, and the skilled workers begin crafting the tabernacle and its furnishings. Chapter 36 gives instructions of construction of the tabernacle. Begins the skilled craftsmen, Bezalel and Oholiab, along with other volunteers, begin constructing the tabernacle according to the detailed instructions given by God. The people contribute generously, and the work progresses. Chapter 37 talks about the construction of the ark, table, and lampstand. The craftsmen construct the Ark of the Covenant, the table for the bread of the presence, and the lampstand for the tabernacle. These sacred items are made with precision and according to God's specifications. Chapter 38 talks about the construction of the altar, basin, and courtyard. The craftsmen build the bronze altar of burnt offering, the bronze basin for washing, and the courtyard surrounding the tabernacle. These structures are essential for the sacrificial system and the worship of God. Chapter 39 talks about the construction of the priestly garments. The skilled craftsmen complete the construction of the priestly garments, including the ephod, breastpiece, and turban. These garments are made with fine materials and adorned with precious stones, symbolizing the priest's role as mediators between God and the people. Chapter 40 gives clear instructions about setting up the tabernacle. Moses sets up the tabernacle, placing the Ark of the Covenant inside and arranging the furniture and the curtains. God's glory fills the tabernacle, signifying his presence among the Israelites. The cloud of God's presence guides the Israelites on their journey. Each chapter in Exodus reveals a different aspect of the Israelites' journey towards liberation, highlighting the escalating confrontation between Moses and Pharaoh, the display of God's power through miraculous signs and plagues, and the unwavering faith and determination of the Israelites to be free. These chapters in Exodus depict significant events in the Israelites' journey from slavery to freedom. They highlight God's deliverance, his provision for his people, and the establishment of the covenant and commandments that shape their relationship with him. Exodus provide detailed instructions for the establishment of laws, the construction of the tabernacle, and the consecration of the priests. They highlight God's desire for justice, proper worship, and the establishment of a sacred space where his presence can dwell among his people. In addition, Exodus described the construction of the tabernacle, the renewal of the covenant, and the setting up of the sacred space where God's presence dwells. They highlight the importance of obedience, worship, and God's faithfulness to his people. Stay connected because from January 20th or January 21st we are going to start our daily devotional on the book of Exodus, one chapter each day. Till then, enjoy Genesis and continue to grow each day every day. Have a wonderful and blessed day. Talk to you soon. Once again, I would like to request you to share this message and subscribe to IMPW channel to receive our daily devotionals and grow according to His counsel and spend your day according to His plan. Have a wonderful and blessed day.